And tonight, folks, we have a very special guest, Richard Le Super Seducer. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, kind of. You missed the I there. It's like La Ruina.
Oh, Richard Super Seducer La Rurina. La Rurina. Super Seducer. I hope you don't mind me growling in your ear there. Is that okay?
Yeah, my mum is English and I lived in England for most of my life, but my dad is Italian and so the surname is Italian.
Oh, okay, excellent. So you're used to people growling in your ear all the time, huh? I bet that turns you on, huh, you kinky nasty boy?
No, I'm not. I was always very introverted and I wasn't the typical Italian. They're normally very
Okay.
sociable, they talk a lot and they move a lot and they hug and kiss people all the time.
Yeah. Totally understand. Like, okay, half my family is Jewish, quarter is Italian, and the other is African American. So there's always that. Now I got to ask you, Richard, Mr. Rune, your game's been pretty controversial, but what makes you the one and ultimate super seducer?
Well, it was quite annoying for me in the super seducer process because everyone was calling me a self-proclaimed dating guru, and I was like, well, what about these people that give advice on anything?
Right.
Do they put self-proclaimed a job title? I mean, it's what I do. It's the thing I've done since 2006.
Right.
And in terms of all kinds of numbers, people consider me a guru. So there's no qualification for this, but
Right.
you know, like I've sold lots of books. I've got.
Okay, now hold on. You talk about numbers, right? Like, just how many people, male, female, them, they, whatever have you been super seducing? Like, you said you've been at this since what, 2006? Like, how many notches in that bedpost are we talking here, Rich? Don't leave me hanging.
Yeah, I mean, what made me good as a guru was that I didn't start off good and then I became good. So it was the fact that I could identify with the guys that hadn't had any dates, that, screwed everything up, that were very nervous because I was a virgin until I was 21 and I didn't even kiss a girl till I was 21. It was easy for me to meet a customer I don't do live trainings anymore, but I started doing these one-on-one trainings and I would meet the guy and he'd have some problem. And I'd say, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I had the same problem, blah, blah, blah. And here's what I did to fix it. So, I'm terrified to approach, or I'm talking to her, but I don't make a move and I just end up in the friend zone and she tells me I'm sweet or whatever it is. So that's what made me a good coach. And a lot of guys that I've met through the years that have slept with over 100 or over 1,000 women don't know why it works. Just say, just be confident, just be funny, or whatever it is. That's not useful advice for a guy that is struggling with women.
No, of course not. And I totally understand that. No, you say the blah, blah, blah. It makes you come off a little, like, insincere. Makes you come off like this whole thing was like a facade or personified, some sort of thing you crafted in your mother's basement. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
In a sense, it was crafted. There was a time, it would have been back in like 2000 and like the year 2000, and I was depressed and unhappy, and I looked at my life and I actually made a list of all of my problems and then I set about fixing them. So I've got like the old pictures of me where I look bad and stuff, but I was very unhappy and depressed, and it was because of my lack of social success and women mainly, lonely. So everything you see is crafted to the extent that I worked on it.
Okay. Well, I've got to admit, Richard, wow, that kind of took me by surprise. No way, shape, and or form while playing any of your lovely video games. I'm a huge fan, by the way. Would I have ever thought to myself, here's a guy who started out not knowing how to pick up women, not knowing how to talk to girls, completely socially awkward, and completely depressed. Kudos to you, sir, for making that list, checking it twice, picking up the girls who are naughty and leaving alone the ones who are nice. Speaking of that, your self-proclaimed title, right? My friend, S and Dream, he swears up and down he knows more about super seducing than you, that he's a complete natural. And super seducing is just kind of second nature to them, you know? And one shouldn't become a pickup artist.
Yeah, that's why naturals don't make good coaches. That's why a lot of people that are coaches maybe didn't, weren't professionals in whatever the field is. In this case, it's especially true that if you try to get advice from a guy that is very good with women, you won't usually get very much. But you can learn from just watching them and kind of backwards engineering what he's doing.
Speaking of engineering, in the game, you're constantly referring to yourself as an IT. Were you ever an IT? Or have you always been a super seducer?
I actually wanted to be a primary school teacher when I was 15, 16 years old. Then I got a job around 18 years old. I was doing different temp jobs in offices, and I got a marketing job for a software company. They offered me full-time work, and then I went to university doing business and marketing, but I quit after 3 months. And I actually didn't get good enough grades to go to a good university in England, like C's and D's at high school. So it wasn't enough to really get me into Cambridge or Oxford, and that was a factor of my social life as well. I was depressed and I missed a lot of school and I didn't really care, and it showed in my schoolwork and results. So academically, I didn't have much at that time. And then after that, I've tried to compensate by doing lots of courses and reading a lot and trying to learn.
Well, I gotta ask, have you always been a game player? A player?
I played games since way back. The first game was Civilization, the first one. I had it on PC, and whenever it would be in the 90s, I guess it would have been, I don't know, 94, 95, I don't know. And then I had the Sega Master System, and then Sega Genesis. I had all the Sega consoles to the Dreamcast, and then started getting the Sony console. So I've always had a games console, apart from a period of a few years recently. But like Joe, maybe for 5 years, I didn't have a console.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not the kind of gamer I was pegging you for. But you know what? To each their own. Gamer to gamer, I respect that. Now, speaking of mad respect, I gotta ask you, man. In the first game, at least, I'm partially through the second one. Have not touched the third one quite yet. Just the introductory video. But you always have two gorgeous women behind you. With their, I can only assume, and always did, hidden symbology of their body language and or wardrobe. And I asked myself, before this interview, where did that come from? Well, Mr. Lerune, I went ahead and went onto your YouTube, and I pulled up a video. This one dates clear back to December 17th, 2013. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look. The title of the video, I believe we have it queued up, is How to Ask a... Oh, shoot. I butchered it. I apologize. How to Ask Girls on a Date Through Texting in 4 Steps.
Hey guys, it's Rich, and in this video I'm going to teach you my very best stuff when it comes to texting girls. It's one of the most common questions I get, and actually the first reaction of mine is that it's the wrong thing for guys to be thinking about. So if you are getting a lot of flaky numbers, I want to tell you first to go back and do some other stuff at the point of getting the number. I'm going to give you some texting tips in a minute, but first I want to talk about when you actually get the number and making sure it's solid. If you want to make the number solid at the time you ask for it, you can do 3 things. You can talk about things that you can do in future with the girl. You find out that she likes cocktails, going to different clubs, you find out that she likes going to museums, and then you've got ideas of things that you can do together and you can suggest it. The second thing that you should do is ask about her upcoming plans. So if it's Sunday when you meet her, ask what she's doing that week. If you find out that she's going to be really, really busy, you know that it might not be a great idea to invite her on a date by text on Wednesday because she's got a big project or an exam or whatever it might be. The third thing that you can do, and this is the thing that will give you the maximum chance, is actually arrange the date there and then. So you say, what are you doing this week? She says, not very much. You say, why don't we meet on Thursday? She says, yes. You say, okay, cool, let's meet at 7 or 8 o'clock. I'll text you in the afternoon. She says, okay. And you hand her your phone and she gives you the number. That's making it as solid as possible. But let's put that to one side. You want to know texting tips, so let's get right into those. Obviously, it depends a lot on what the girl's responses are. I can't tell you, send these 5 messages with no alterations and you'll definitely get the date and definitely get what you want, because you have to respond a little bit to what she's saying, but you can follow a rough framework. First text should be something like this. Let's assume you met her on a Friday night in a bar. I guess that's where most people are meeting up. So you can say something, you can text her on Sunday evening or Monday, and you can say, hey, it was good to meet you. How was the rest of your weekend? It's a very simple message, very short, and it differentiates from other guys that are saying, it was great to meet you, my name's Bob from the bar, would you like to go for a drink with me? It's a very simple way to kind of get an easy response. And what you're looking for is you're looking for her response. If she just says, yeah, good, thanks, that's kind of a cold response. If she gives a longer response where she said, yeah, I had a great weekend, my sister came to town and I did this and this, yeah, it was awesome to meet you too, smiley face, and how was your weekend? Then you know that she's more interested. If you're getting girls to the more interested side of the scale, then you can proceed more rapidly through the steps. In that case, the next step would be something like, you answer the point in her message, say, cool, that your sister came, is she older or younger, whatever it is, take some point from her message, talk a little bit, answer her question, or say what you got up to, and then say, what are your plans for the next few days? She answers this, and then you've got the method to arrange the date, which we'll get to in a second. If she responds coldly, I would always suggest leaving it for 5-6 days, maybe a week, and then re-engaging and looking for the point where she becomes more friendly. By not replying and leaving it a while, you keep her thinking about you and wondering why you didn't, go for the date. So she's more likely to invest more next time. On to the next message. You've asked, what her plans are for the week, and then she's going to give you an indication of how busy or not she is. If your first meeting was really, really cool and you think that she'd be happy to meet you for a one-on-one date, you can go ahead and arrange that. You can say, why don't we go for a drink on Thursday? You said you like cocktails, there's this cool place, blah, 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 and you arrange it like that. A good thing to include here is use a kind of sneaky technique called illusory choice, and you say, okay, let's meet at this place. When's good for you, 7 or 8 o'clock? So you're putting a question there that is something that doesn't really matter to you, but it gives her some feeling of power in the interaction. So that's a little trick that you can use. Again, hopefully you've done all of this at the initial meeting and you won't need to do very much by text at all. But that's how I would play it. Pay close attention to her reactions, sense her receptivity. Don't ask too many questions in your messages. Don't make them too long or difficult to answer. Let her be more friendly than you. And that should put you in good stead in terms of getting responses and bridging that gap from the initial meeting to the first date. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon with another video.
Wow. Well, there you go, folks. There you have it. That was the origin of the 2 girls, 1 bed. Richard, I got to tell you, I personally think that is a genius move. But one might ask, was it due to low self-esteem? Is that why you had the pretty ladies on the bed? I mean,
No, it was very specific. It was like people don't like spending time with me. People say I'm boring. I don't like my voice. I don't dress well. I don't like my face as stupid expressions. I don't like my haircut. Like what? It was very specific. Like I'm not funny. I can't make people laugh. People don't like hanging out with me. Like it was literally just 20 things that were, I think, real. You know, the reasons why I wasn't popular and I didn't feel confident, and a lot of them had answers. You know, part of it was crippling shyness as well. It's hard to, you know, your mum would say join some clubs and be sociable and whatever, but it's hard to do that when you've got crippling shyness.
Well, you know, I gotta say, Richard, hopefully you're over that crippling shyness. You seem to have came out of your shell pretty well, at least from what I can tell. And I gotta ask, man, like, did they have to be supermodels? Like, did you just wake up though and be like, hey, you know what sounds great today? Being surrounded by a bunch of supermodels. That would totally help my.
It was all gradually, so it wasn't just like, you know, I didn't get laid, and then bam, supermodels. It was bit by bit, and it was being comfortable around people generally, being good in a one-on-one conversation, being able to talk to strangers, and just gradually starting to feel better about myself. And my first girlfriend, I dated her for 2.5 years. You know, that she was quite nice, but not a supermodel, but you know, she was very nice. And then after that, I had lots of single years, but I am actually kind of a, you know, more relationship guy is looking for.
I mean, you are married, right? Like,
I'm married, yeah.
Okay. Well, I gotta say, man, like, your wife kind of looks like a gargoyle. You know what I mean?
Something like that.
Yeah. A little bit like a gargoyle. We ended up hating her when it came through our first playthrough. Any commentary on that whatsoever?
Yeah, she was. The first game, she was in 2 of the levels, but didn't have so much to do with, you know, all the other aspects. But in the second game, she was very involved, and she was on set every day that we filmed and was doing a lot behind the scenes as well.
That is amazing. You know, and I'm glad you have such a great sense of humor. We don't really, you know, hate on your wife. I'm sure she's a lovely individual, as you are yourself, Richard. Now, speaking of being such a lovely individual, I gotta ask, man, some of those fucking choices in the game were pretty fucking horrible.
Yeah, essentially, when we come up with a level, we come up with a green line that would work based on our incredible knowledge of seduction. And the orange stuff is like the common mistakes or the things that you might think would be right, but in actual fact. And then the red stuff is just all the stupid stuff that people like to choose because it's retarded. Some of it comes from real situations that some of them are just made up.
Made up or not. Boy, howdy, are they amazing. You know, a personal favorite one here on the channel is when you know, slyly pull your dick out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just slyly whip it out. Any other time it doesn't work. Why is that, you know?
A lot of guys have stupid advice as well. Like they got laid once by using something and they think it was because of that it worked. They think that the line has power, but he just got lucky that time. So because we've actually done so many live events and we needed to give the students real things to say to women, we saw, you know, so many times what works and what doesn't work.
Well, you know, I honestly can't say that you're doing the male generation of 2021 any favors by introducing this game other than comedic relief. Honestly, though, I love it, man. I love it. I can't wait to finish 2. I can't wait to get into 3. Loved how you spun off the perspective of the female on number 2. Also, I love how many options you gave in number 2. The replayability, man. Like, I've streamed it twice, and I gotta tell you right now that I love going in and picking the different options. You know, the first one I burned through pretty quick. But anyway, you know, that's enough of this disc jockey stroking your ego, stroking your dick, rubbing your back, and giving you cookies. I gotta say, man, there's my friend who I've mentioned numerous times before, Dream. He thinks you're the king of cringe. What do you say to that?
You're a dick, aren't you? Yeah.
I am, or Essen is, man. You know, he puts in a lot of time, a lot of effort into streams.
No, but I think that's his thing. You know, he's just like this angry guy. He has to record.
He has to record.
And that's his thing. You know, it's like Simon Cowell or whatever. They might.
Hold on. You can't compare the Dream Machine to fucking Simon Cowell. No, not at all, man.
But yeah.
Bloody hell indeed. Well, you know, my American ass is not gonna get in between that whole British. No, I'm kidding. Love my Brits. Whole rivalry though. You good old boys want to duke it out and then have some tea afterwards. That is all completely up to you. Now, I've read some reports online, like Steam, for instance, not good publicity, telling you that your game is very hypersexualized and it demonizes the male the libido, and that it's the worst thing since Harvey Weinstein, for Pete's sakes. And I honestly think that that's such a horrible comparison. I gotta ask, man, like, did you go into this with good intentions, or did you go in this with like, let's put the worst case scenarios out there? I personally don't think you're a man of that means, but
That's the thing. I mean, we always we've been in this business a while, and we've always positioned ourselves in kind of a morally justified place where we can say that if women, you know, learn our stuff, they're not going to lie, trick, manipulate, and so it's not making the world a worse place. And a woman meeting the guys that we train would be better off than if she met, you know, the average asshole in the bars or clubs. So that was always the angle we took. The funny thing is that if I had wanted to make the game very, you know, to that extreme where it's all about lying, tricking, manipulating, it would look very different. And there's a lot of stuff that there are a lot of bad pickup guys teach or at least practice the stuff, even if they might not teach all of it. And it works and they will get laid, but you know, they're going to go to hell when it's no.
yeah, okay. You really think they're gonna go to hell?
Specifically, yeah.
And you won't for any of this.
I wouldn't want to, you know, if there were more money doing something awful and scandalous just for the sake of it, I wouldn't do it. So we were surprised. You know, we took all these steps with Super Seducer 1 and people assumed that we made the game to be scandalous. But if we wanted to make it to be scandalous, it would be like, okay, find out her biggest fear and then tell her a story about that includes that right before you're going to say goodnight, knowing that she stays alone at home, and then you're more likely to go back to her house, right? You know, just as a small example. And we could have come up with 100 things like that to include in before watching it, like, fuck, that is evil, but it actually worked. But we didn't do that. I'm so shocked that people were saying that it was incredibly offensive and evil and whatever. But no, we could have made something really awful.
Wow. Well, I mean, you know what? To each their own. You know, I honestly don't think more truer words have ever been mentioned, especially not here on D&D and Chill. Richard, I gotta thank you one more time. I hope you don't hate me.
You're a dick, aren't you? Yeah.
Why, yes. Yes, I am. Anyways, Richard, it's been a pleasure. Hey, thank you so much for showing up, showing out, and showing off. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Richard LaRuna.
Yeah, kind of. You missed the I there. It's like
LaRuna. There we go. I'll get your name right eventually, Richard. Do please keep a lookout, guys, for his up-and-coming game that he is self-starring in and self-written called Horror Seducer. It's in pre-production right now. I'm super excited about it. Cannot wait to see what this is going to be about. Anyways, guys, hey, this has been Happy Dungeon Master saying love, peace, and chicken grease kitties. I'm Outies 5000. Later, nerds.